Yes, and welcome back to another episode with me, Luke. So we're going to jump straight into the Bitcoin chart in just a second, look at the technicals. And if you've been following me over the last couple of days, then I've been calling for Bitcoin to dump slightly. And looking at the technicals, you can pretty much see where we're heading to next. So stay tuned to the very end. Is Bitcoin going down a few $1,000s, maybe back down to 30, 25, 20K? Well, stay tuned to the very end and I'm going to give you some technical analysis on that aspect. So just jumping over to some news on, according to Binance, in about 91 days, the Bitcoin halving, the fourth halving, is about to happen. On other websites, they say 94 days and even 82 days. So it's very difficult to call the exact date, since the halving happens every 210,000 blocks. So, but we definitely expect that the Bitcoin halving is to occur at the end of April. If not, it will be early May this year. So in less than 3 months, we're going to have this massive event, which in the long run will only be a fantastic thing for Bitcoin, because the more halvings that happen, the less Bitcoin there is, and so on. So this would make obviously Bitcoin a lot more scarce in the long run, and more valuable as well. So as you can see, we have this statistic just here, the Bitcoin halving key events. The first halving happened in the 28th of November 2012, and the reward after each block was mined was about it was 25 Bitcoin. So as you can see over the halvings, it's called a halving because it gets slashed in half, as you can see. So from 25 rewards in a block, the second halving, then it was only 12.5. The third halving 6.25, and so on. So the fourth halving, which is about to happen at the end of May, it will go from 6.25 as a reward slash straight down to 3.125. So again, over the next 10 to 12 years, Bitcoin is going to become more and more scarce. So it's an asset class that has just moonshot over the last 10 years. And where do you think in the sixth halving Bitcoin will be by 2032? I expect it to be at the $1 million mark around this point. Some are expecting $1 million this halving. I highly doubt that will happen. But Bitcoin, it could do that, especially if you take into consideration how fast Bitcoin over the last 10-12 years has gone up to, I mean, just a few years ago we were at $67,000. So I mean, it's a massive exponential asset class that's ever existed. So for sure, I do think that we'll go to $1 million for one Bitcoin, but it won't be this halving. I try to be as objective as possible, but I do expect a six-figure Bitcoin after the fourth halving anytime at the end of this year, but for sure at the beginning of next year. But I've been saying maybe around September time. I'm going to stick to that I think we'll have a six-figure Bitcoin in the year 2024. So just keep that in mind. It's important to keep this in mind because Bitcoin becomes more and more scarce. And if you don't own any, then why not? Again, it's not financial advice. You should be getting into Bitcoin before, well, now the big institutions, the big players are getting in before it's too late. So just jumping over into the Bitcoin price. So if you've been following me the last couple of days, so I didn't do a video yesterday, but I was watching this slightly. I did put a post on Twitter and YouTube. Just a quick post looking at this bear flag. So as you can see, the bear flag is playing out exactly as I said. So if you did get into this trade, then well done. If you were short in this and you got in at the price range that I said, 42k, you would be in the profit of about 2%, and you could have been in about 4%. So this candle wick, that's why I put my stop loss here, because then this daily candle wick just came slightly up to 41,588, and yeah, I mean, here you wouldn't have got stomped out anyway, so yeah, you would be in the profit about 2%. So I'm just saying, just be careful if you haven't put a stop loss. Maybe put a stop loss just around the 41,943, but again, it's not financial advice. You do as you wish. Just in case it does reverse, maybe at the weekend. I mean, at the weekend, nothing much happens, but you want your break even here so that you don't lose anything. If anything, you just pay the fees on Bybit or Bitflex or whatever you're using. Again, the link's in the description below if you want to use my affiliate link. So yeah, just put a stop loss at break even now if you want, so that you don't lose anything. And but I still expect this to carry on going down to the price target of what's the price target of this? 38,767, which would mean that we would fill up this other CME gap that we created back in at the beginning of December. And as you can see today, we tried to fill it up actually. We just started filling it up, 40,325. We just touched it, but then we came back up. So the weekend, again, it's quite boring. Nothing really happens that much. Personally, I prefer nothing to happen. If anything, I prefer that we dump over the weekend, and then into next week. If we do dump heavily over the weekend, then next week will be a good opportunity to start longing the market, because we'll form a giant CME gap higher up. So that's just what I'm looking at the moment. Again, I haven't traded this. I prefer swing trading, like I keep saying. But if you're day trading, then hopefully you took this trade that I mentioned 2 days ago, and you can just write this thing down. And if you want to have a trailing stop loss, then you can take some profits along the way. So again, just zooming out to the weekly, let's just take a look at this together. So the Bitcoin halving is about to happen very, very soon. So let me just put not a horizontal line, vertical line around May. There we go. So I'm just going to keep it on. Let's put it on May the end of April for sake of argument. So as you can see, we are extremely close now. I'm going to get rid of this. There we go. We're just moments away from this halving. So what do I expect to happen now? Well, if you've been following me again, I do expect us to dump before the halving, and we've come down to these levels again of about 30k, maybe even 25k. Not saying we're going to. Halving happens and then we start coming back up, and before the end of the year, I've just overshot that there, we would probably be going into the six-figure mark, like I said. So I mean, it's pretty crazy when you look at that. If we do dump down to these levels, and then if we do come up to this six-figure, that means we have to do that. I mean, it looks a bit mental there. It's like almost a blow-off top. But people are calling for 2025 to be the top. Personally, I think we're going to see it much sooner. So there's a lot of predictions out there, but I don't really like to give a huge, like a 200, 300, 400,000 prediction. I don't want to be one of these moon boys, but for sure Bitcoin is going to go into the six-figure dollar. I hope I'm wrong and we do go up to 500, 600,000, but I prefer to play it a little bit safe and just start taking profits around the September, October, leave some in, and then see what happens in 2025. If I leave like 25, 30%, going into 2025. And then if anything happens, then at least I've taken 75-80% off the table. So I'm going to go into that a bit more later in another video, and also look at some altcoins. If there's any altcoins you want me to talk about, I will be jumping back into gaming tokens. I want to take a look at that very, very soon. So next week we will look at some gaming tokens, maybe even AI, and so on. So that's pretty much it for today's episode. Have a great weekend, guys and girls. And again, leave any comments in the section below. Leave a thumbs up, and I will see you next week. Great weekend, and see you next time. Bye-bye.